Chapter 20. Cassandra struggled to take account of the situation between blows and dodges from the Oddmiants. Stephanie was one floor down, ready to offer backup. Cassandra just hadn't had a chance to contact her. Tim was back in the bunker, where he operated a remote-controlled speedboat that hid just under the surface of the ocean that trailed the final offer. She still fought back some kind of sensory-attacking neurotoxin alongside her father, whom she hadn't willingly sided with since she was a child, and no matter how hard she focused, Sadie still left a dull pain in the front of her head. Lipov remained against the door and observed the exchange of blows with a smirk on his face. Angel and Cain came at the Oddmiants from multiple sides whenever they could. Every effort was lost to his superior maneuverability. His sword remained in its sheath, and he took his time before inflicting a single attack. Despite his age, a single strike from Cain could still do some damage. The Oddmiants treated his attacks with wariness. Angel had enough trouble keeping up in her first battle, but she was slowed from the fight with Cain and the numbing agents that infected her body. The Oddmiants was a black blur that jumped and dodged out her attacks, which she knew were swinging wide. It seemed like he was just measuring them up. Oddmiants broke from his passive behavior of a smash to Cain's side into his ears, which forced a shout out of the old assassin. Then he thrust 2 fingers into his throat. Cain fell backwards and grabbed at his neck as he gagged. Angel slid in with a kick in the hope of catching the Oddmiants off guard, but he nabbed her foot, twisted it, and brought her to the ground with a slam. She grit her teeth to stifle a shout. "Time's caught up with you, David," Lipov said. "And I don't know what's wrong with your spawn, but she's not her usual self." Cain fumbled around at the back of the bar until he could wrap his hands around the throat of a bottle of wine. He ran toward the Oddmiants, bottle lifted over his head and swung at his opponent's face. Oddmiants released Cassandra's foot, caught the bottle by its body, and locked himself and Cain in place. As she pushed past the pain, Angel shoved herself upward and struck the Oddmiants in the back of his knee. The attack forced him off balance and dropped him to half a kneel. The Oddmiants turned to face her with his cold blue eyes until Cain smashed the bottle into the back of his head. Shattered glass and wine spilled all over the floor. The Oddmiants' eyes clasped firmly shut, but he didn't make a sound. "Stay down, boy," Cain said through labored breaths. "I don't have to kill you over the stupidity of that corpse over there." "Being a corpse isn't all bad," Lipov said. "It's coming back that really hurts. You should spare yourself the agony." As she continued to fight the drugs in her veins, Angel's perception was a fraction of its normal power. She was too busy fighting off the ringing in her head to watch the Oddmiants' hand as he grabbed a hold of a shard from the broken glass bottle. The Oddmiants whirled upward, tore a slash into Cain's stomach, and forced him to shout as he gripped the wound. With his cry, Angel pulled back to her feet and swung her blade at the Oddmiants, but her foe drew his own sword and parried the strike. As Angel and the Oddmiants exchanged blows, Cain scanned the room. The neurotoxins left Angel vulnerable. Her armor was forced to take most of the Oddmiants' strikes, and she began to show signs of wear and tear. She could block some of his moves, but most made contact, some certainly hard enough to cause bruising under the armor. Cain moved toward the sliding glass door that led off the balcony, slow and quiet as to not attract attention. Despite his efforts, he was acutely aware Lipov hadn't taken his eyes off him since the battle began. His daughter faced him, the Oddmiants faced away. Even the little assassin couldn't dodge what he couldn't see. Cain slipped a finger through the center of the toxin-tipped shuriken down on the floor and threw it. The weapon left a small cut in the back of the Oddmiants' neck, which he threw Angel from a blade lock in order to assess. Seconds later, the figure in black was hunched over and clutching at his forehead. The sneer Lipov wore faded. "What have you done?" "I poisoned her before we started fighting," Cain said. "If you want to prove your little monster's better than mine, he's going to have to do it on equal footing." "Deceitful bastard! Same as always! Oddmiants!" The warrior in black did not wait for Lipov to complete his command. The Oddmiants turned toward Cain and rushed as his senses started to betray him. For a moment there was a deafening shatter as the 2 bodies flew through the glass door. Cain shouted. Bits of glass dug into his back as the Oddmiants held him to the ground and pounded against his face. Angel followed the 2 out, forced the Oddmiants' hands over his head, locked her hands behind him, and trapped him atop Cain's body. Cain grasped a piece of shattered glass and attempted to gut the Odmians before Angel rose and pulled their opponent away. "No," she said. "I don't have time for this," Cain said. "He and that ghost came here to kill us. I'm not giving him any of your special treatment." Odmians loosened his arms, pulled his feet off the ground, slipped free of Angel's grip, and ran toward Cain. Still reeling from the smash through the window, Cain mustered the strength to catch the Odmians as he closed the distance, and threw his small body over the balcony. Angel ran to the edge to see what happened. Odmians' fall was cut off by a large awning that extended over the sun deck, but he still hit the ground with a crash. The handful of passengers who nursed drinks at one of the outdoor bars gasped and stared at her in confusion. Angel's senses started to stabilize as her earpiece relayed a message from a floor down. "You guys are making a lot of noise," Stephanie said. RR and me just locked all the doors to the pool, but everyone's still looking out there, trying to figure out what's going on. Angel said, "I know," to confirm she got the message. She jumped over the balcony rail, hit the awning, and descended toward the Odmians as he pushed back to his feet. Whether from the fall or the toxin, the Odmians had lost his eerily still stance. Shakes ran over his body as he faced Angel again. Over the drunken shouts of gamblers asking what was going on, and if they were seeing some kind of performance, Angel locked eyes with the Odmians. "We can stop," she said. "Please. I don't want to hurt you." The two held their positions. Neither moved a muscle toward the other, save for little shakes and spasms from the toxin. The mutual freeze was broken by the screech of gunfire. A bullet tore through the deck of the ship mere feet from where the Odmians stood. Angel and the Odmians looked up to see Cain as he struggled against Lipov. The bullet only barely missed the Odmians thanks to Lipov's interference. Angel's opponent in black looked back toward Angel and the struggle before he turned and ran for the side of the ship. She pursued him. "Security's about to get through the doors," Stephanie said through Angel's headset. "Get off that sun deck. Penguin's thugs aren't going to take kindly to you being there." Angel was about to reply when the Odmians pulled himself over the protective rail and jumped off the ship. "No!" She ran as fast as she could and caught sight of the Odmians as he grabbed a hold of the protective barrier on a room's patio. He dropped from one to another. As he descended, Stephanie asked, "What was that? What's going on out there?" "Retreating. He's going down." Angel followed after him. "Crap. He's probably headed for the lifeboats or something. Actually, wait, that might be a good thing. I'll see if Red can pull up that drone he's got following the ship. We might just have him cornered. I'll be down as soon as I get the chance. I can't descend without my cape." Angel barely listened. Men and women from the rooms below screamed and shouted in confusion and fear as the two descended the cruise liner before the Odmians paused on one of the lower decks. A few feet from the ledge of the ship, lifeboats hung over the water. Again, the Odmians paused to look between his options. "Stop!" Angel shouted as loud as she could. The Odmians took his chance and ran. With a proper boost by jumping off the railing, the leap would have been possible. However, the Odmians' depth perception was still damaged by all the toxins running through his blood. He got a single hand atop one of the many small, orange crafts, but lost his grip a moment later. Angel brought a hand to her mouth in horror as the body in black fell and crashed into the ocean. By the best estimate she could recall, Angel remembered 30 feet could be fatal. Even if that number meant nothing to her in the moment, she was sure the fall had to be more than that. "He fell," Angel said into the earpiece. "He's in the water. He could drown." "God, don't go after him!" Angel was already strapping her grappling hook to the rail. "I have to. It's too dangerous! There's no sense in both of you being out there. Red's got heat sensors on the drone. He can pick him up." Nothing could convince Angel he would be there fast enough. She pulled off the individual white sections of armor that covered her chest, arms, and legs to decrease her weight, tossed them overboard, and rappelled down the side of the ship. Between the toxins and desperation, Angel couldn't form any kind of strategy. She just had to get a hold of the Odmians as fast as possible. Nothing else mattered. Angel hit the water in less than a minute. It was cold and clung to her suit from first contact. She swam in the opposite direction of the cruise ship, pulled aside by the waves of water the boat displaced. Though she searched, frantic, she couldn't make out a black body in the dark of night in the ocean. He had to be there. She knew he did. Salty water slapped her face. For all Angel knew, she was barely holding surface over hundreds of feet of water, 1,000 miles from the shore. Still, she pushed and kicked. She had to find her opponent. She couldn't leave him behind. Please. Please. A pair of overpowering lights overtook Angel's vision from her left side. With fizzles and gurgling, a structure rose out of the water. Cassandra swam toward it and recognized Tim's drone as it slowly converted from undersea to boat mode. The top of the vehicle in the middle was opening like a convertible car. To one side, Angel found a ladder and pulled herself onto the ship. In the middle, laying deathly still, was the audience. Angel! Hey! Angel! Cassandra turned and saw a radio near the driver's seat and pulled it from its place. She looked between it and the audience and decided to answer. I'm here. Thank God, Tim said. Thermal on this thing picked up 2 bodies fresh off the ship. Is that the audience? Yes, she said. He's hurt. Badly. Angel examined him for another moment and her heart began to race anew. Not breathing. No? Damn it. I'll pull the drone around to pick up Batgirl. She knows CPR. No time, Cassandra said. No time. What do I do? Tim didn't respond at first, as if in consideration before he said, Get that mask off and uncover his chest. Cassandra set the radio aside and pulled the audience closer before she tugged at his mask. It wouldn't come free. His entire costume seemed to be a single piece. She felt around to the back, came to a zipper, pulled it down, and peeled the costume from his skin. From the first sight of flesh, Cassandra cringed. The audience's back was overwhelmed with scars, both fresh and faded. With enough pulling, she separated the mask from his face. He was nearly bald. The first of blonde stubble just prickled through his scalp. The scars followed over his face, which Cassandra lingered on for a moment. Despite all those marks, she could tell he was young. Younger than her, maybe. If he looked that way in spite of the scars, she could only imagine how he'd look without them. The thought made her even sicker as she resumed pulling at his costume. The most prominent of the scars was one directly over his throat, which his costume traced. It ran deep. Cassandra was sure of it, though she couldn't tell how far. With a last pull, she revealed his bare chest, covered in the same marks, and positioned 2 hands over his heart. Ready. Okay, Tim said. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cassandra pushed with every count. Her mind raced in fear at the thought of breaking his ribs with too much pressure. Some compressions were lighter than others. Some were deeper to compensate. 15. 2 rescue breaths now. Cassandra held the audience by his forehead and chin and pressed her mouth against his. His lips were already so cold. She had to keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4. Please, Cassandra pled internally. Everything's so wrong. Sadie's gone. Lipov has David, not this too. Please, not this too. 2 more breaths. His lips were still ice. Cassandra did a third for good measure and lost her place when Tim chanted the compressions again. Is this punishment? Is that what today is? Have I failed you? 5, 6, 7. Cold. Cold. Please don't test me. I know I ran away once. I won't again. I promise. 8, 9, 10. Cold. 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 Please, let me save him. Isn't that what you want? 11, 12, 13. The odd man's rose like he was undead. With his mouth and eyes wide open, he vomited up bile and seawater before he collapsed back onto the floor of the boat, unconscious, but breathing. Cassandra released a sigh and grabbed the radio. He's breathing again. Good, Tim said. Steph should be with you in a few minutes. We'll get the ship back and run some tests. He's going to need some treatment, I'm sure of it. What about David and Lipov? Cassandra looked down to the floor. I don't know. Don't linger then, Tim said. We have his assassin. Maybe now we can finally get some answers. Cassandra looked up and down the odd man's scarred body. There would indeed be answers, she was sure. It was a matter of what horrors they may reveal. She practically collapsed into one of the seats. She'd have to cuff the odd man's before he woke up. She had no idea how far they were from Gotham. But she both captured and saved someone that night. She felt she'd earned a brief reprieve.